The Prime Minister has now called on the former Prince to testify before US Congress.
And Andrew's ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, was also named in the files. In emails between the former Duchess of York and Epstein, she discusses her daughters, called the convicted sex offender the brother she wished she'd always wished for, and even said, "Marry me."
Camilla and Gyles are with us. I mean, the idea that there's 3 million more of these things being released on the weekend, and then we see, of course, those pictures, Camilla. It's just extraordinary, isn't it?
I mean, there's pictures. One wonders what circumstances you would have to be in to be standing around in your pants. Equally, the picture of the Prince, the Andrew, formerly known as Prince, as we now call him, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, obviously doesn't look good at all.
Who is taking these photographs?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Ghislaine Maxwell. So just for people who have not been following this, Ghislaine Maxwell was the girlfriend and best friend of Jeffrey Epstein.
Yes.
This man who was convicted, basically, of paedophile, because he had almost a ring of young women who he made available to her friends and associates. This is why it is a big issue. There's frustration among some people in this country that it is people like Lord Mandelson and Andrew Mountbatten Windsor who are the focus of attention, when in America there must be dozens of men implicated who are not being named and shamed or followed up in quite the same way.
Bill Gates has been named, Bill Clinton has been named. Obviously, there's question marks over Donald Trump. Fortuitously for the US president, he had a massive row with Epstein in 2008, because I think there are kind of two areas of culpability here. The first area of culpability, and this particularly affects the Yorks, is people who maintained contact after Epstein was convicted of procuring a minor for prostitution and serving jail time. And where Andrew and Fergie came unstuck is their insistence that they hadn't maintained contact, only for it to be revealed that they had, and they hadn't just maintained contact with the former Duke going out and staying in New York with Epstein after he'd been released from prison, but also the sending of gushing emails referring to him as their very best friend. It's for the same reason that Peter Mandelson has come unstuck. But then area number 2, which has put pressure on these figures, is money exchanged between Epstein and either the Yorks or indeed Mandelson or indeed Mandelson's partner, now husband, which I'm afraid just casts a very negative light on their associations. What were they doing taking money from a convict?
The development this weekend is the Prime Minister has now said that it's time for Andrew to actually, there's an inquiry going on in America, to give evidence, which he has declined to do up until now. Must be said, he emphatically denies any wrongdoing of any kind.
As do the other people that you mentioned before.
But Keir Starmer, when questioned about this, said, you know, actually he should now give evidence.
But on that basis, so should Lord Mandelson. If there is a desire for those who may have witnessed nefarious and criminal behaviour to come forward with their own testimony, regardless of how reputationally damaging that might be for them, then that has to apply to everybody named in these documents, surely. It was rather selective of the Prime Minister to say over the weekend, well, only the former Duke of York needs to do this. And then we have the pressure piled on Lord Mandelson, who, to be fair, has fallen on his sword in the last 24 hours. There were questions yesterday, well, why does he remain a Labour peer when all of this has been revealed and he's basically saying he's going to take a step back? I think it should also be stated, though, that there is no current legal compulsion for any of these figures in the UK to go over and appear before any courts in Congress. It is interesting that the British seem to be being implicated more than the Americans. And my other observation is, of all of the people caught up in the scandal, the one person that's gone to prison is the woman involved in it all. Now, evidence against Ghislaine, she pimped, you know, she found the girls, she procured underage girls, she was part of a sex trafficking ring. But it does seem to me extraordinary that all of these high-profile, high-net-worth male figures that have been associated with this conspiracy.
There is now claims of a second woman saying that she was sent to the UK by Epstein for a sexual encounter with Andrew. Her lawyers claimed to the BBC that we sent to Royal Lodge in 2010. The woman, who is not British, was in her 20s at the time. Her lawyer, Brad Edwards, told the BBC that the woman even had a night with Prince Andrew and a tour of Buckingham Palace.
This is not the Russian. This is a different person.
This is different.
A different person's Russian. Well, it's not good, is it? It just is not good, and on it goes. The king has done, I think, all the right things, and he's distanced, as far as it's possible to do that, all Andrew's honours, titles have been removed from him. He's being removed from Royal Lodge. He's going to lead a private citizen's life from now on. What more can be done by the king, I do not know.
On the Russian element, this is the other very interesting and intriguing side of all this. Some of the documents have revealed communications between Epstein and some of his associates referencing Putin. Now, there's always been this ongoing sort of conspiracy theory, was he a secret Mossad agent, etc. But there's now also the suggestion that actually at the heart of this is some kind of KGB honey trap. You know, cameras and video footage of people caught in compromising positions, possibly with young Russian girls. Was some of that being fed back? So when we talk about these 3 million documents, which journalists across the country and indeed the world are currently pouring through, what more is still to come?
Yeah. Apparently Epstein had offered to arrange for Andrew to have dinner with a 26-year-old, clever, beautiful, trustworthy Russian woman. And Andrew apparently responded that he would be delighted to do just that. Obviously, he has denied all wrongdoing. He's denied any of these accusations, as Kat was saying, the other people that we mentioned. There is some pretty chilling emails, though, with Sarah Ferguson, Camilla, when you read them, the files around those emails. And as you point out...
The timing
of it is what seems incriminating.
Yeah.
Also, you know, this idea that there is a degree to which this couple particularly are beholden to Epstein in some way. She then makes a very inappropriate remark about a weekend that her daughter usually is spent with her new boyfriend. I won't use the language here because it's morning television.
Yeah.
But just a degree of inappropriateness, then saying to Epstein in this gushing way, you know, she wishes that he was her brother. And this is all juxtaposed against the insistence by both of these figures that they did not maintain contact and weren't close to him. Well, the emails tell a different story now. If you speak to spokespeople, particularly for the Duchess of York, they will say, well, she was intimidated by Epstein and she had a massive falling out with him. And I think one PR was quoted by the Telegraph as saying, you know, she was reacting to Hannibal Lecter-style threatening calls of legal action from Epstein to Fergie after she denounced him publicly. So the whole thing is pretty murky.
It's her style to speak like this, but it's really so over the top. She's likening him to a brother she always wished for in an email sent a year after his sex abuse conviction. And she's saying of him, "You are a legend. I really don't have the words to describe my love, gratitude for your generosity and kindness. XX, I'm at your service. Just marry me."